everybody. Y'all know I gotta do me. Welcome to the Social Proof 5.
How many people in the room have children for this game thus far? Raise your hand.
Yes, I are.
How many people who are about to pull this raise your hand? Just want to shine today real quick. So y'all want to get started. I want to first thank Asia and Creative Space for hosting this amazing Thank you, Trace. Thank you, Asia. Thank you, great cooks and staff back there. Thank y'all so much.
Good grab.
And we tricked y'all. This is our 200th episode. We had to do it right. We had to do it with the man who helped give us a look back at the full experience. Y'all know we love showcasing entrepreneurs in the city. Y'all want to know where we got it from? Social Proof Podcast is really the thing that, one, propelled me and Marquita, but then we said we had to bring this to Cleveland. Because we used so many amazing entrepreneurs who like, why did I like this in Cleveland? And I want to see it to the day and what he built Social Proof Podcast to get today. So can we please give a round of applause to that man?
We are officially recording our live episode 200. Thank y'all for coming out and celebrating. It's a huge milestone. You guys know the milestone shows we do big events, and we really love the fact that y'all continue to support. Y'all have been a part of the process, been a part of the program, but y'all ain't here for us, for real, right? Well, I'm here for the game. That's what y'all do, right? So without further ado, I definitely want to introduce y'all. We have a very special guest today. This is a man of God, a father, a husband, a creator, a podcast king, the podcast king, not even a podcast king. He is a motivational speaker. He will give you all the game you need. He's here to give social proof to the pull-up experience that sleepers to suckers and to keep our hustle up, right? So, without further ado, I definitely want to introduce you guys to the one and only David Shands. Welcome, David.
I'm here. I'm excited. So hopefully we can really give some people some really good information and address the Q&A and stuff like that. So I'm here to work. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, first of all, we're big on conversations about elevation. So we love to hear you talk. And what I love about you is you listen so well that people talk, but you talk so well that people listen. How did you find your voice in this journey? Because, like, where did we start? How did you get here?
I think it's just a genuine curiosity. I think God gives everyone these certain gifts. And as a kid, I'm sitting there listening to, like when I turn on the radio, I can't wait for the song to be over so I can listen to the disc jockey. They have something to say. And I don't know if that's something that I practice, but we all just have this thing about us. So even when I was a kid, late night around 10 o'clock, you had like Jay Leno and David Letterman, and I was just intrigued in how they do that, how they can get someone to share things that they normally don't share with other people.
Yeah.
And from there, it's working at the Cheesecake Factory as a server, I get a chance to see people and forgive my ignorance, but I really thought only white people could get an American Express card. Mm-hmm. So somebody gives me an American Express card and they're black, I'm like, why do you do that? Why should I get that? It's black.
Yeah.
Right? So, or a rapper, right? So I just was really curious about how they did that. Like, how did you get that? How did you become successful? So before the podcast, I was just genuinely curious about other people's stories and about other people. I remember, this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, homeless guy comes up to me, and it was me and my friends. It had to be like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Homeless guy comes up, we're outside this bar, and the guy says, I don't want to bother you, but you have any money if you share. But he spoke really, really well. So ignorantly, I asked, yes, I do have some cash, but can you tell me how you got here? Because it don't seem like you're supposed to be here. You know, he's so well spoken. So I don't know why I had that curiosity, but I've been gifted that way.
And David, how did you take that curiosity and, for those out here inspired to get started, when did you take the curiosity and decide to put forth action?
Again, I don't know if I was intentional about becoming a podcaster or an interviewer. I was just doing what I like to do. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs. You'll see a bunch of people doing a bunch of stuff and you keep moving from thing to thing because you see someone having a great time doing what they love to do. And you're like, oh, well, I want to do that too. Or I want to be like that person. I've always just been like myself. So I had this idea. 2019, I'm doing a conference. 2018, I'm gathering all the speakers for the conference. And I had this good idea. I said, I'm going to interview the speakers of the conference because hopefully someone else may see me asking this person some questions and they give amazing answers and you'll buy a ticket to the conference to come see that person. So that's how the podcast started. I didn't even know what a podcast was. It was just me having really good conversations because before the cameras were on, I'm having amazing conversations with successful people and they're really giving me the game. And they always kept saying, man, I never told anybody this, but let me share this with you. I'm like, oh, this is good. So I just decided to do that on camera. I decided to be myself on camera. So I think once everybody finds out who they are and who they want to be, and you walk into that, even if they can't figure out how it's going to make money right now, there's a way where you can be yourself and get paid for being exactly who you are. And the things you don't like about yourself, people will some people don't do podcasts because they don't like their own voice. Well, your unique, crackly, high-pitched voice is what makes you unique and stand out amongst the crowd. But we're so afraid of being ourselves, especially because we see so much stuff on social media. It's very difficult to identify who we want to be or who we are.
So I'm killing the man, but I don't get it.
Hold on, you're gonna do that the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Like take the mic.
Yeah.
I like it.
I have a question, Dave. What do you feel like the biggest misconception people have with podcasts as a whole, and then it happens for you?
Say it again?
The biggest misconception people have about podcasting, and then what's the biggest misconception people have about you?
The biggest misconception about podcasting is that it's oversaturated somehow. That's the craziest thing in the world to me. How many people have a podcast? How many people have listened to a podcast before? It looks like supply and demand to me. Like everyone's listening to podcasts and not everybody has one and we say it's oversaturated. It's crazy. That's like saying social media is oversaturated. How many people you follow on Instagram?
Oh, about 6,000.
About 6,000 people that you follow on Instagram. You follow 6,000 people. You don't follow 6,000 podcasts. It's probably 3, 4, 6 max that you listen to on a regular basis. I don't gotta compete with nobody. It's only like 4 other people that you like other than me. But we're not gonna tell somebody, oh, well, social media is saturated, don't start an account, don't promote your business line. That doesn't even make sense. So when people say podcasting is saturated, it's just getting started. It's literally just getting started.
That's good.
Yeah, you like the whole button.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But it was just my question. So what's the biggest misconception people have about you?
Oh, that I'm short. People are like, yeah, you're taller than I expected. Every time I see somebody, they say that. I don't know what gives me like little vibes. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception because everything else I talk about on my podcast. So I am very transparent. I have nothing to hide. I go through imposter syndrome, just like a bunch of other people. I feel, I spent my whole career highlighting other people. But maybe not because I just want to highlight other people, but maybe I don't think I'm the person that needs to be highlighted. That's a real struggle for me, right? So I have a 13-year-old daughter that I'm having the biggest challenge connecting with. So I met her when she was 7. I adopted her when she was 8, when I married her mom, and now she's my daughter. And it seemed like at 11, she's the sweetest girl in the world. And she wants to be around us so much. And we'll be watching TV and she'll just jump into bed and watch the movie. And like the day she turned 12, it's like, who are you? I'm like, hey. She's like, hey. I'm like, what? Hold on, what happened? So I'm going through trying to be a father that not just provides, but like understands. And I'm having the hardest time connecting because there's a fight between me and her friends. And it seems like the group chats be stressing her all the way out. But she gravitates towards that, and it's almost like pulling away from us. Yeah. And we got to do all that I can, and buying her stuff doesn't help. I'm trying to understand her language. So, I don't know. Again, everything I go through, I talk about on my podcast. So, yeah, it's just a short thing. Do I get a short energy? A little bit. How many people was like, yo, he's taller than I thought?
So, I like the fact that being able to experience your journey, you have always been able to understand opportunity. All the way back to like raking leaves. A lot of us started in Candy. You started different. So let's go back to those, understanding where your opportunities are in the market and being able to just go for it.
So I actually started selling, my first business was selling candy. And this goes to, like, I've been this way my entire life. Me and my mom were at Walmart. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I asked my mom for some blow-pops. And I was like, can I get some blow-pops? And she's like, yeah, sure, you got your own money. I think my birthday just passed or something like that. And I wanted to know how much they were. So my mom was like, oh, we're the spice. But in Walmart, they only sell the big bag. And I'm like, well, my question to myself is, well, I see the price and I see that's a big bag. How many are in the bag? I don't know why I would ask myself that question, but I always just had a curiosity about stuff. I think once we develop a true curiosity about life, we start unlocking doors, just asking the question why. I went to a school and I was trying to tell them the importance of the question why. So I pulled up a little boy and a little girl on stage, in high school, 9th, 10th grade. And I said, if you ask the question why, you will get answers that you weren't even looking for. So I said, there's going to be a young man that's going to ask you, young lady, hey, my parents are out of town, you should come over. Young lady, I want you to ask the question why. And then the boy says, oh, because we just want to hang out. And I told the girl, keep asking the question why until you see something, until you find something. So she says, why do you want to hang out with me? And the little boy says, this is live on stage. The little boy says, I mean, because you're attractive and, you know, like, you're fun, you're cool. And she says, well, why do you think I'm attractive? And the kid gets upset. He said, man, forget it. I'm cool. I don't want this anymore. That gives the girl some information. He's not even really willing to work through a couple of questions. Does he really want to get to know you? Why doesn't he want to know why you're so curious or why you're so guarded? Why doesn't he want to know that? He's just going to give up. So there's something else that he wants. So we just got to keep asking the question why. So I'm like, okay, there's a price on the Blue Pops and there's a bag. How many are in the bag? And my mom shows me that I can flip on the bag and find out how many. And math has just always been my subject. I'm like, yo, what if I sold these for 25 cents? And I'm like, whoa, I can make some money and eat for free. Let's do it. So it's just always been that curiosity. I'm going down the street. I'm going to play with my friends. But before I play with my friends, my dad says, you got to rake the leaves. And he doesn't pay me. I just got to work work. It's like slavery, a little bit. We get paid for, I gotta work for a shelter or food. Slavery for sure. But all my neighbors have leaves on their lawn still too. So I don't know what makes me ask the question. I wonder if I can do the same thing I'm doing for me for them. So I'm not gonna do it. And this lady says, yes, you're doing it. So I've got a question for where I was going. But my curiosity just continued to develop over the years. And if you're curious enough, you will find so many answers. Like you want to get to that next level at your job. I was just telling the kids, I had a job one time and I was making maybe like $14 an hour. And all of my friends, we do the same thing, working at the same job, making the same amount of money. And I asked the manager, hey, what do I have to do to be assistant manager? Just tell me what I have to do. And he told me what I have to do. And I said, if I do these things, I can be an assistant manager? He said, yeah. So I did the things that he told me to do, and I became assistant manager, started making more money than my friends, but not because I was anything special, but I was curious about how do I get to that next level? And as entrepreneurs, we never really ask ourselves that question. Or we ask ourselves the question, and the answers just stay in our head instead of on a sheet of paper. Okay, I'm making $3,000 a month now, how can I make 10? What is the requirement? What am I gonna have to do differently to go from 3,000 to 10,000? Very few of us ask ourselves that question because we're not curious enough. We just want to work. We're not curious enough on how to do it. Yeah. We just want to do it. We just want to be there instead of interviewing our wants. Okay, what is it going to take for me to get there? And you're going to list out a few things that it takes. And out of the few things, you're going to take one of those few and say, okay, what do I have to do to accomplish this that's going to get me to this 10,000? So that's what I kind of teach entrepreneurship.
Okay, so I got another one.
Oh, listen, you go ahead.
Okay, y'all can be a part of it. But this is my master class for real. Anyway, so I like the idea of understanding the lesson in the redirection, right? So many people don't know, Dave was a horrible rapper. It didn't work out. You got bars now. You got bars now. Like you spitting bars
I was a good rapper, gangster rapper. I was selling cocaine and shooting people with my raps. But it was so good. I could put some words together, man.
Right now you are. I'm glad that you found the right path for that. You know, he was a failed street pharmacy tech, you know what I'm saying? It was some different stuff. Olive Garden to cheesecake to so much other stuff. And in each level, you've learned something different about yourself and also learned something different about the journey that you thought would be your path. Even like thinking you was gonna be the manager at Cheesecake and switching it up. How did you grow to accept that that wasn't for you and continue to trust yourself in the process to keep going?
Except that, what was it for me?
The stuff that you had been doing is like, okay, maybe this isn't my thing. Maybe I need to redirect and try something else.
I don't know if I think as you start going on a journey to just become successful in anything, you're going down a path, and then if you're looking, you find a better way to get to that same destination. I never changed the destination. I'll change the vehicle sometime. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't that I say, well, I want this now. I think this is for me. I think this is for me. It was like a lifestyle that I wanted. So for instance, I was selling t-shirts. My first goal while I was working at the Cheesecake Factory was to make $100,000 a year at the Cheesecake Factory doing my t-shirt business. So I started selling these t-shirts. And then I get around some other people. After I hit 100,000, and I went like 200,000 selling t-shirts, I met some people who were making millions of dollars. And I realized that the t-shirts, that vehicle is not going to make me million. You know how many t-shirts I gotta sell? Make $1 million? That's hard. But it wasn't that I'm saying, I'm not selling t-shirts no more. What I did was I took the story of me selling t-shirts and put it into a book. And after I wrote the book, people started booking me to speak. And I'm like, yo, if I'm selling $20 t-shirts, $25 t-shirts, I gotta sell 100 of them to make $2,500. But because I wrote this book and I started talking about how I sold t-shirts, this one company was paying me $2,500 to come speak. I said, whoa, Are you going to take the 45 minutes to make 2,500, or are you going to try to sell 100 t-shirts? So the path I just kept moving forward. So it wasn't like, I'm saying, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm going to do something else. But through the journey, you'll realize that on your way, there's certain things that you can't do anymore because it's getting in the way of other progress. So I can't be in the mall selling t-shirts anymore because it's starting to get in the way of people paying me to speak. So it's not like I just kept doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. And one of your strategies that I learned from you that I'm trying to get better at is stop trying to save money because I'm overworking myself. I'm listing money by trying to save it versus delegating my weaknesses and strengthening my strengths. And at one point in life, we all are like, this is what I'm bad at. Let me get good, or let me at least try to work it out so I can save the money. Don't make the investment. How did you become an investor in yourself, an investor in your strengths more than anything?
It just made sense. So I would set up all these. I come to the studio, I set up my cameras, my lights, my audio. It's just me and the guests in the studio. So I set all this stuff up. But the reason I set all of it up is because I didn't have money to pay nobody. So until I can run a full operation, I gotta do what I gotta do. So I'm setting all this stuff up. And what happened is I had a camera that was a T2i, Canon T2i. So I would have to hit record, come back, so you're sitting here, I'll mic you up, mic myself up, hit the camera, come around, run to my seat, pause for a second, and then say, welcome to this podcast, right?
That's how familiar you are.
But the camera would stop every 28 minutes or so. So I had a little alarm on my phone where when that alarm went off at 26 minutes, I let whoever's saying, my guest, I'll let you finish, and I'll pause. And I say, okay, hold on, give me a second. Then I go back to the camera, stop it, record it again, run back around.
You gotta do that right now.
We gotta do that right now?
You do all that.
I wasn't thinking, how can I hire a staff and have a team and delegate? That wasn't my thought. My thought was, wouldn't it be cool if I could sit here and interview and have somebody hit that button? I wasn't thinking get a team. I'm like, dang, if I can get somebody to hit that button, I'll be straight. How much does it cost for a button pusher? There was some people that really liked the show, and it wasn't like high level stuff, like, yo, I like what you're doing. I'm like, yo, you know how to push buttons. Come on, sit in and just be a guest. They're like, yo, I can sit over. Absolutely, yes, do me a favor. Hit this. Watch that clock. As soon as that says 27 minutes, give me a little signal, stop it, record it again. So through that process, eventually I started making money. And I took some of the money and said, hey, I want you to be a full-time button pusher. And I took some of the money because I would have to take the SD card home and go edit the podcast myself, the whole thing, upload it, all that. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pay you to push that button, but I also need you to upload the footage. So when I even think of getting a team, people think it's cool to just have a team and start delegating. The objective is to pay somebody for the problem, but the person that you pay, you should be paying them 4 times less than you're going to make. So if I'm making $4,000 on my podcast, if I'll pay somebody $1,000, no problem. That's how jobs pay you. They're not even gonna hire you unless you can make 4 times the amount of money that they're paying. So I don't need a team, I need somebody to do some stuff for me and I'm willing to invest it. But until we get the money, I'm gonna hit that button, run around, do the interview, hear my alarm, get up, I'm just gonna do it until it starts working out.
I got a question. So we have quite a bit of podcasts out there in the audience. What was the moment in your podcast journey where you're like, okay, I got it now. Like this is it. Which interview would you say was that moment for you?
I interviewed Wall Street Trevor in episode 54. And views started going through. And then it was some money in there. I didn't even know. I'm looking at the analytics. That number normally is like $2, $3.
Right.
It went to like 1,000. I said, whoa, what's happening here? And then what was crazy is most of the traffic started going, I think it was episode 41, Melvin and Nunnery. So this one episode, 54, brought the traffic. But this other episode, I think it was 41, started going crazy. It literally started to explode, and that was my highest video for a long time, which taught me you gotta keep doing the work. It's not that the work that you did before, it's not that the work you did before isn't good. It's just you have to do that work first, and then someone discovers you, and then they start going back to your past catalog and they're like, yo, this is amazing, right? So I just, once I started seeing other people were engaged in it was up.
It was up.
Is that what drove your consistency? Because at first it would be like sporadic.
Oh no, let me tell you what drove the consistency.
Okay.
It was a little before that. So y'all listen to Earn Your Leisure?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
So I started my podcast before them, but they were consistent before me. So I started it before them, but they were consistent before me. So they come to Atlanta one day, and they're like, yo, let's get together. I'm like, oh, let's do it. So we went to Cheesecake Factory, right? And we're sitting there eating. There's Troy on this side, he's talking to somebody else, and Rashad's right in front of him. He's like, yo, I like the podcast, man. And he said, we did research on Alex, because I did Alex Good Energy's interview. It was his first interview, like ever. But he said, when we interviewed him, we watched your episode to study him. I'm like, yo, that's dope. He said, man, I love what you're doing, man. He's like, yeah, you're just not consistent. And then he goes back to eating his sandwich. It was like, he said that, and then it just, I was like, oh, what do you, I was offended. I really was. Because he said it so nonchalantly, not even trying to like educate me or say, hey, man, you need to be more good. He's like, yeah, you're just not consistent. So I took it as, you're not saying that the podcast is inconsistent. You're saying that I'm an inconsistent person. And I took that personally.
Sorry.
So from that moment on, I said I'm just going to be consistent, keep putting it out, and then shortly after that, it started to work.
That's good.
Now, David, I know we use you as kind of like our inspiration to kind of do our podcast. Was there anyone once you did jump into the podcasting field that you were, that kind of like inspired you, motivated you, that you kind of like, I want to do that, I want to be like them?
Well, not really, because I didn't know what a podcast was when I started it.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you think about it, 2018, I think I started interviewing people. That really didn't exist. Of you interviewing people that are not celebrities. So just think about it. Like, think of a podcast that was just interviewing local, successful entrepreneurs. I mean, 2018, around that time. Now it's like, it's everywhere in terms of like, you can see people getting other people's stories, and it's a thing now. But at that point, who else was I looking to? But the art of interviewing people, of course, I'm watching the David Lettermans and Arsenio Hall, and all these different interview platforms. So the people inspired me, because I was always just interested in people's stories, but there was nobody else I could really look to that had a blueprint, because nobody was really doing it. Joe Rogan was doing it for a while, but I didn't know who Joe Rogan was. So that was it.
So how did you get over that spirit of perfection? Because I tell people all the time, perfection is just a pretty way to be a procrastinator, because it's never gonna be perfect, right? And I love that you guys started even without a name, and you kept going without it, because even when you got the name, you still kept going like, hey, this is just a podcast. What's up, everybody? We on episode 4 of the podcast. Here's my guest. How did you do that? Because it's so hard for a lot of us to take that step, because we feel like we're not prepared or we're being judged so much.
Because I know it won't always be like this, but the only way for you to get good at something is you have to be bad at it. So I'm used to being bad at stuff, like high school, college, relationships. It's not working out for me. However, I do understand, without a shadow of a doubt, the more you do something, the better you get at it. I don't know if you remember like your first date, you're nervous and you're like, I don't want to say the wrong thing and I don't know how to react. But once you go on a bunch of dates with idiots, you just, all right, where we going? Where we going? I'm getting more comfortable. First time you're ever on stage speaking, it's like the whole crowd is looking at you, waiting for you to make a mistake. And you're like, oh my gosh, do I got lipstick on my teeth? And there's so many things. The more you do it, it's like, all right, let's get to this thing. First day of work at a new job, you're nervous, but eventually you get comfortable, right? So I didn't necessarily have to get over the fear of being bad because there's nothing that I've done that's been perfect, ever. I can't think of anything that worked out perfectly in my life, ever. So why would I be chasing something that doesn't even exist? So I just got to get it out there. I realize I don't have a lot of followers now, so I'd rather mess up on y'all before we have a big platform, and then by that time I'll be good at it. So just you can't chase perfection because it doesn't even exist.
So, David, one more question. So, for some of us that's just getting started and it's just us, how did you overcome being burnt out? Because that seems to happen when it's you just doing it all by yourself. You are the cameraman, you are the editor, you are the host. How do you overcome that, or how did you overcome it in your earlier stages?
You just keep doing it. I mean, but if it's something that you really like to do, you really get burnt out. How does somebody stay at a job for 20 years? That's what I'm trying to understand. Don't nobody ask that question? As an entrepreneur, they're like, yo, how do you manage being burnt out? You're trying to get it, and I hate this place. I hate that for 2 years. You have to keep going. You have to have an objective. So I teach entrepreneurs that we should focus on the work and not the reward, because the work is the magic. The work is something you can control, and the work won't let you down. Because if you're looking for a reward and you don't get the reward, now you fail. But I can go out and I can do 2 interviews a day, or I can knock on 10 doors a day. Nobody's stopping me from doing that but me. That I can control. I can control the success of me doing the work. I can't control the outcome, but if you're always looking at the reward, you'll continue to get disappointed. So let's just do the work. I set up a day on Wednesdays where I record. That's what I do. Whatever comes from this, great. But I'm focused on that I successfully complete the mission. If I say I'm gonna do it Wednesday, am I going to the studio and do it Wednesday? If I did that, I like to brag on the fact that, I do this every single week consistently. That's my win.
That's good. So, everyone's here probably heard this question many times. We're going to ask David here, right? The latest question. But as every guest has been on our show, what do they like the latest to be for the business, and what do they like the latest to be for them? Because your business is a party, but you as an individual is trying to set up. So what do you like the latest to be for David Shands and for Social Proof?
Man, it's not a traditional answer, but I'm not super concerned with legacy like that, because people are going to forget you anyway. A very, very important man in history is Martin Luther King. The reason that we have some of the freedoms that we have is because of Martin Luther King. What do y'all do on Martin Luther King Day? Not listen to his old speeches and study his work. You cook out because you're off work. We got schools bearing this man's name, but who cares? It's just a school name. It's just a street name. Hey, maybe on MLK, and then we shortened it to MLK. We don't even use his name anymore. So we could spend our lives building a legacy. Now, I am thinking about my children and my children's children. But me leaving money is no guarantee that it's going to work out for them. 80% of millionaires are self-made millionaires, meaning money doesn't travel well. I can't, even if I give my son a bunch of money, there's no guarantee that he's not going to lose it or blow it all. There's no guarantee of that. And do I just want to give my kids money like that? They might grow up privileged or not know what it's like to actually do hard work and get into the mud of it. And because we want to save our kids from what we had to go through. But I mean, as a kid going through not having much, I wasn't sad. I actually had a good time. It was fun. We didn't have a gym to go play in because my parents was rich. We was in the street hooping with my friends. I like that. So I'm not super focused on legacy because people are going to forget you. However, I do wish that my dad would have created more content because I'll never be able to hear his voice again. We just never recorded it. So that's one of the reasons I'm super passionate about podcasting. Not for the legacy's sake or hailing my dad's name. Like there are some people who built kingdoms that nobody even cares about right now. King David, Solomon, like who cares? So legacy, I'm doing my very best to make sure at the end of it all, God says, well done, good and faithful servant. If I can figure all that stuff out, then I don't know if I can accomplish that, being full-fledged, spending these few years that we have on earth, leaving a legacy on earth. So I'm going to do some cool stuff. I'm going to build businesses, get some real estate and build it because I enjoy it and I get to teach my kids some stuff based on experience. But I'm not a chaser of legacy. So, I know it's not a traditional answer.
I love it. I love it.
It's my time to break it down. No.
I will tell y'all, one of the hardest things to do is a lot of pain. So when y'all see that there's all, especially using technology, something can always go wrong that's unexplainable. So give them a round of applause. Because we could have just been in the studio and everything would have been perfect. Y'all got that joint set up, but they care about y'all.
They've been here for our milestones. We did, our first one was at our 50th episode, and we had it at Tower City, which is one of our malls here, and they sponsored the whole thing, and they've been rocking with us since the beginning, and it's just been a journey, but it's all because it's really just the communication. They're so amazing, so we don't really got to do nothing but ask the right question, let them tell their story. What I love about you is you're actually good at communicating, though. Like I said, you're good at pulling the story out of people and making sure people feel heard. Because even though some people don't even want to be seen, like Alex, he probably don't even want to be seen, but you made sure that he's heard and look at the impact that was able to cause, just the trajectory of most people's career after they even touch, even the hot seat with you know what I mean? So how did you come to the part of your life where you're like, let me be quiet and stop talking and give them the opportunity to tell the right story because I see it in you and let me pull that out because I would love to share that with my community.
It was one book that changed my life. This is still my favorite book of all time. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Classic. And one of the things that I remember that I'll never forget is it just talked about that the favorite word of a human being is their own name. And if you give them an opportunity to talk long enough, they'll feel more connected to you that they get a chance to talk because you're interested in them. How often are we do we feel genuinely interested in by somebody else? Like think about it. When you're talking to somebody, when's the last time you had somebody look at you and say, tell me more? Man, you're incredible. How did you? And that makes you feel really, really good. This is an exercise, and I'm very hypocritical because I haven't done it yet. But I think a good exercise is to interview your spouse. We don't do that. Now, it's a little challenging because I got some kids and they have no home training. I mean, they run around, they say what they want, it's wild. But to get to know somebody, like to sit down and be interested in that person for 45 minutes, oh my gosh, they'll feel heard, they'll feel seen. So I've used that as my number one networking tool. Is when I meet someone, I just let them talk. And when they try to ask questions about me, I'll answer it, but I'm gonna figure out a way to ask a question about you, because I gotta get you talking. If you keep talking, if you talk for 44 minutes and I talk for 1 minute, you will leave that conversation saying, oh my gosh, that was an amazing conversation. Well, I didn't say anything. I asked you a couple of questions. You talked for 44 minutes, but you will feel, oh my gosh, this was amazing. Right? Really, genuinely getting to know somebody. You ever been in a conversation with somebody where they're just trying to impress you with all the stuff they got, and you're like, you clown. I get people, I'll be in an event, and it's like, yo, Dave, I got a couple of questions. They never actually ask me a question. They want to tell me about how amazing they are, and what they're doing, and their accolades, and who they know, which is the corniest thing in the world, because just because you know somebody cool doesn't make you cool. But they just spend so much time trying to get me impressed, and I'm like, I can't wait for this conversation to be over. But then I'll get a young man at a school and say, yo, how did you do it? How did you do it? Kid come up to me today, and I was telling him about this business where you get a wristband for 19 cents, you can sell it for $2, and you can really flip the money. My man comes up to me with tears in his eyes almost and says, bruh, I want to do that. He said, my friends introduced me to some stuff and the scamming, like it's a scam. I want to do that. I thank you for coming because I need to figure this thing out. I really, you moved me with your words and really gave me the game and gave me the information. And I want to learn from you. So I pulled Jay. I said, hey, Jay, if you can connect with this young man, I'll pay for his first order of wristbands. It's going to be about $200. I told him I want my $200 back though. If we're going to buy 1,000 wristbands for $200, give me my money first. You sell your first 100 bands, you still got 900 left, give me my money back. But I am going to start you off simply because he was so grateful to have seen me.
Yeah.
So if we apply that in our everyday life, networking is essential.
And you take the network and you build on it, right? So it's not just enough that you know Dave Shands. You make sure that the group knows Dave Shands and that Dave Shands knows the group. How did you start building that community so organically? Because it has just really, I'm a part of it. I love being a part of it, obviously.
Early in my career, I just always, like what we're doing today, I was doing this like 2013. I find a restaurant or a bar that was slow on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and I say, hey, can we do like an entrepreneurship workshop? I want to charge $10 at the door. Whatever they eat or drink, I'm filling up the restaurant, so they're going to spend money with you. But let me do these workshops. And I would find someone that was really successful to conduct the workshop. And I just bring people together. And it wasn't like I was thinking, how can I build a community? I just knew I needed other people around me.
Yeah.
So I know I need a community of people. It's not like I'm saying, hey, join my community because that's what you need. I need a community. So I want to call every single morning with over 100-something people. We got about 600 people that are in the program, but about 100-something show up every single morning, and I'm answering questions, and I'm talking to them like, yo, Dave, you can't do this for $500 for a year and talk to them every single day, because there's better ways of making money.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be too accessible. But I don't care. I need it. I'm not doing this for y'all. I'm charging you something because there needs to be some sort of barrier of entry, but I'm charging y'all to be a part of what I need, which is other human beings that are all going to the next level, that have that desire, that passion. So I didn't build a community as a play. It's a play now. People are like, yo, I gotta build a community around my thing, which is, you're absolutely right. But I've been doing this for a long time because I need other humans around me. It's the only way we all grow.
On top of community, you also are like a content king. Whether it's you by yourself, Entrepreneurship 101, you go into the schools, you Dorito Day, Sharpie Day, like we know, we've seen it all, right? How is it that you are able to produce so much content? Because it gets hard, even if you're just an entrepreneur or a so-called a creator. People are always looking for the next thing or running out of ideas, and you are like, set the camera up and
run out of ideas?
forward.
How do you run out of ideas?
How do you run out of them? I would love to know that. I would love to know that, Dave. Please explain to me how you do not run out.
Do you run out of ideas?
I am different though.
You run out of ideas?
No, not at all.
You run out of ideas? Who here runs out of ideas? You run out of ideas?
So many ideas, right? I just stuff.
You run out of ideas though. Okay. What do you do?
I have a business called Their Future Babe where I prepare women in their single season.
You prepare women in what?
In their single season.
In their single
For
season.
future husbands while being closer to God.
Okay, you prepare women in their single season
To get closer to God.
to get closer to God and find a husband. And you run out of what type of ideas?
I think my content has become repetitive as far as prayers and motivation that I understand the nation's lives. I understand through my content, even though my regular content is bringing in thousands and thousands of views, I don't know my next step. So initially I'm running out of ideas on how to.
So you're running out of ideas for things to say to your audience.
Yeah.
And you want to lead these people in their single season, but you can't come up with ideas to help them. Then you're not the person that's supposed to be leading these people. Because that tells me a couple things. But mainly, it tells me that you're not continuing to go learn to deliver information to them. My morning meetup group, I talk to them about the stuff that I'm doing outside the group. I'm not just delivering information. I have real life experiences every single day that I bring back to the call. You can follow me because I'm going there and I'm studying and I'm researching and I'm asking other people about their journey, so I'll never ever run out of information. You may not be the right leader for this group of people, but I want you to be that. Sometimes I'll do some content. I'll go on Google and research something, and the people that hear me talk about it think I'm a genius when I really learned it an hour before we hit record. It's interesting. Or I'm just curious. So I went to Outback Steakhouse. Y'all got Outback here?
Yeah.
I went to Outback Steakhouse, and I was like kind of looking at the menu before we got there, and something came up on Google that said, Outback Steakhouse was started by two guys who's never been to Australia.
Yeah.
And they're proud about it. Never been to Australia. I see that, and then I come back to my community. Yo, I was out eating. I went to Outback, found out Outback Steakhouse was started by two people that have never been to Australia, but built an Australian-themed restaurant, which means you don't have to be super passionate about this business that you're starting. I'm always paying attention. I'm always learning. Are you single?
Yeah. So it started with them watching me go through things and go through different things. I think honestly, losing motivation.
Okay, cool. So you lost motivation. It's not that you can't think of something to say. All right, so stop lying to me. Okay, because you said you can't come up with ideas, and that's right. Okay, so you lost motivation. Totally different story, which tells me you don't have a circle of people that are moving in the same direction. Because it's impossible to lose motivation when other people around you are motivated. If there's 5 people, they'll all be unmotivated, but not at the same time. So you need to find your tribe and find your community, and if you don't have it, you need to build it.
One more question? 2 more questions?
Okay. Are y'all done y'all interviews? Because we just went straight to Q&A.
Yeah, we just don't pick.
Okay.
We just don't know.
So when you decided to get started and build your brand, what was it that you used to pivot to this like high platform that you're at now? And then how do you stay like at that, like delivering what the people want?
have an audience of people
Okay.
that I'm servicing, which is the entrepreneur that's trying to get to that next level and typically make under $250,000 a year.
Okay.
I've been there, but I'm also always focused on talking to that group of people. So I will continue to deliver information. I actually do the same thing I was doing 5 years ago. I just figure out how to make money doing it. Because I'm doing it and I'm asking people that make a lot of money, hey, you think I can make some money from doing this? How can I make more money? Then I joined a mastermind where they started talking crazy. I'm trying to figure out how to make $1 million in a year.
Right.
I joined this mastermind where they're talking about how to make $1 million in a day.
Yeah.
I did not understand. I invested $55,000 in this group where they were all trying to figure out how to make more money faster. It was a foreign concept to me. It even sounds silly saying it. How do you make $1 million in a day? We've done it multiple times, but only because I was exposed to something else. So I'm doing that. I'm doing the same exact thing. I don't like hop over and do a bunch of other stuff. You'll never see me on Instagram saying, hey y'all, I can sell you a house now. I'm a realtor, just got my license. I'm not doing that. I'm a content creator, talks about entrepreneurs, connects with other entrepreneurs. My whole world is about that. And if we stay in the same lane, we start to optimize the same thing that we're doing. The problem is we keep jumping around to different things. So it's really, really difficult to optimize one. So I've been doing the same thing, just different ways, different avenues. I've been doing events forever. So now I'm doing Podcast Summit. I'm just doing a bigger, more niche event. And I had this idea, I'm like, all right, if we're gonna do a bigger event, I have just smaller events. So I make this creative post, and this is me just trying to figure it out. I'm like, I'm about to go on this tour. Then I calculate how much it's going to cost to fly to these cities, venue, videographer, gotta fly my team for a free event. And I'm like, yo, I wonder if there's some people in different cities that would love to bring me to their city. Jay reaches out. My man Jamil reaches out in Buffalo, New York. Philadelphia, Suleiman, they just reached out. I'm like, oh, bet. So they take care of everything. They bring me. Y'all, whatever you want me to do while I'm here, I'll do it. So I'm coming to you first, to your city, hoping that you're going to come meet me in Atlanta.
Oh, I'm there. I'm in
Let's
Atlanta.
give a round of applause.
How do you monetize, and where did you like get the tools and say this is time for me to start making money?
Come tonight. Come tonight.
I'm there.
I'm going heavy.
All right.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is that the Myron Golden Challenge?
For sure. Absolutely. Myra charged $55,000 and I just couldn't believe it. At first, my boy, my man Neo, Myron Gold. So Neo, we were at, I think it was my man Him 500's wedding. And Neo starts talking about, yo, I've been investing in myself. He said, I just paid this guy $55,000 to teach me how to sell from the stage. And I'm like, you idiot. Why would you give somebody $55,000? He said, yeah, it's a mastermind. I'm like, what y'all gonna be doing? He's like, hey, I don't know, but you're gonna teach me how to sell. Fast forward. Neo's doing this event. It's like a Circle CEO event. And they're doing this event, and it's his turn to speak. And he has an offer. But I've never, ever seen him act like this. He is so excited and talking with passion, and he's going in on stage. He's like huffing and puffing and sweating all over the place. And then he makes an offer, and I think he said, you can join my mentorship for like $20-something thousand. And he says, if you want to join my mentorship, I think it was like $25,000-$30,000. If you want to join my mentorship for $25,000, come up to the stage. And my heart drops because I'm like, bro, ain't nobody coming to that stage.
I kick it off, right? I kick it off.
For sure. But like, this is my friend. I'm like, why would you do that? I would have did it like, hey, text this number if you want to join. Because you're not about to embarrass me. I'm like, bro, ain't nobody coming to the stage. about a second goes by, and I see some people walking up to the stage. And I see more people walking up to the stage. And then I see some people running to the stage. By the time I look up the stage, and it was a big stage, the stage was full of people that are voluntarily saying, I want to give you $25,000. I said, no way, this is crazy. So he's like, all right, y'all, everybody on stage, follow me. We're about to go to this room for the applications and process and stuff. So everybody's going on stage. I'm cutting through the crowd to get next to Dio, and I said, bro, sign me up for that thing that you did. Story gets better. So I'm like, yo, he's like, all right, but I'll connect you with the person. And I'm like, because I've never seen anything like this in my life. So I remember I'm having a call. I'm actually on vacation with my wife right after that, with my wife and her family. My mom was there. And the guy had called me back about the $55,000. And I signed up. I gave my card over the phone. So I hung up, and he's like, all right, you'll get an email with all the details. And my wife is like, hey, David. She's like, was that the mastermind thing you were talking about? I was like, yeah, I invested $55,000. And she was like, what? I said, yeah, I mean, it's about to go down. She says, well, what do you get for the $55,000? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. Fast forward, I get into this group where they're talking about the strategy on how to have $1 million day, and there's a strategy to it. You do a challenge with a few days or a webinar, and there you do this and that. This is what you do on day 3, and this is what you do on day 4. Day 2, you teach. Mindset is day 1. And I'm learning all these strategies. I look up, I have $1 million day meeting. I had a $25,000 offer, and 40 people took it. I said, wow, incredible. So I realized that I think part of it is, I'm so glad that they gave me an opportunity to invest in myself at a high level, because now I'm invested, I gotta be there. I gotta show up. I'm gonna extract as much out of this as possible. And 2, it just helped me realize that other things are possible. 3, now I have a license to charge high ticket. Because I'm telling you, hey, you need to invest high ticket in me. And if you ask me the question like, well, have you ever invested in somebody that made $25,000? What if I said no? That means I'm a hypocrite. I'm not eating my own cooking. You need to pay me, but it's not valuable enough for me to pay somebody else. I wouldn't do that. But you need to. But now if I offer somebody a $25,000 offer, I'm only offering it because when I paid $55,000, look what happened to me.
Yeah.
So.
I'm about to say, you got stuff to do.
Yeah, tonight.
And so my question is, I'm really curious, and I love Myron Golden. So how did you all connect? Did you reach out with
Neo was showing me the $55,000 wire and said, "Smart." Then I told him he's an idiot. Then I seen him on stage going crazy, and I said, "Bro, whatever you paid that person, I didn't know his name. Whatever, show me how to do that. I want to pay that." And it happened to be Myron's mastermind.
So in his master class and doing that, how did you stay connected with him? Was there like call me anytime. If you have any other questions, reach out to me. How was that?
Well, I just joined his mastermind, and then I said, "Hey, Myron, I got this podcast. Will you be on my podcast?"
That's what I wanted to get to. The audacity.
It's not even audacity, it's just a question. Hey, what else you got to do? You doing something else? Let me get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
I just asked him. He could have said no, but he said yes. And he actually said it on an interview I was just doing. He said that was a spark of letting the world know who I am. He said, I've been making money for a while, but ever since that podcast, everything's going great. I remember the first mastermind that we all went to. There was maybe 15 people in the room at the first mastermind. We do the podcast. The next time I come to a mastermind, it's like 100 and something. So I put some money in his pocket, for sure. 100%. So that's how we just stay connected. We just stay connected.
And those are good episodes, like we both of them.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Hopefully y'all got something from today.
Absolutely.
Round of applause. So good to see you. Really quick, the promo code for the podcast summit.
Well, come tonight. I have a really good promo code for you tonight. So I am selling you something. It's not 20,000, okay? It's just a ticket to come to the event. The tickets right now are $297, but I have something very, very special. Just come tonight. I promise you. We're about to do a 2.5 hour workshop, and I'm gonna teach you how to get to this money as an entrepreneur and a content creator. So it's free. It's free tonight, okay? But yeah, so come on out.
One round of applause.
Where is that? I don't know. What is it?
Midtown Tech High.
Yep, we'll be at the Midtown Tech High.
Yes.
RSVP too. So,
Please RSVP.
so podcastsummit.com/tour.
Text podcast summit to 33777.
I like that.
RSVP text podcast summit to 33777.
One word or two?
One word.
One word.
One word. And we'll see y'all there.
Close. Oh, absolutely. Well, David, I heard you like that, so I want to make sure I said it. Thank you again for pulling up to Cleveland. We know this is your first time. There's only one thing I really want to hear you say about Cleveland. I'm gonna hand you the bike, and I feel like you already know where we're going with this. But if you could just make that statement of character for me, that would be really awesome.
Let Neil know.
You might just tell me what you want me to say. 'Cause I can say a lot about.
It's gonna start with there's more to Cleveland than.
Oh, there's more to Cleveland than LeBron James and Boulder.
Thank you very much. That's all we had to do. We have some amazing entrepreneurs. We cannot wait for your event. We are ready to get all the gang to support. We ready to pull up in Atlanta, right?
And once again, I just want to thank David for coming out. This is our super episode. Y'all really sitting here in what me and my people started this podcast. We said to ourselves, we're going to get David Shands on the podcast one day. And thank y'all for being here. Once again, everyone who's in this room has either been in the podcast or will be in the podcast. And once again, y'all support. You know what I'm saying? So we want to thank y'all once again. So,
A big shout out to Local. I know we got JR Fogle in the background. He's always doing the amazing things for us. So we definitely want to shout out Local TV. Make sure you guys are downloading the app. Another big shout out, we would be remiss if we did not thank Creative Space and The Bite for catering today, making sure our venue is the bomb. It's always a vibe here, y'all. Please continue to reach out and support. We have so much greatness at home, and thank goodness we have been able to keep it on display. So make sure you all support Local, Creative Space, definitely the pull-up experience, and we would be remiss if we did not say Alien Eyes Photos, Sleep is for Suckers, the Social Proof Podcast. There is so much to be had, so much to be heard. We love and appreciate all of y'all. Until next time, y'all. Peace. Beneficial, I'm beneficial. Beneficial.